I think my head just exploded. I think it just went just Friday. My head is still about to explode from a Wednesday morning meeting that I had regarding that. Is that it for you, counsel? Or?
No, Judge, I have one more. This is going to make my head explode. Good afternoon, Your Honor. Jim McCarroll on behalf of Beal Properties.
Judge Dominic Camden appearing on behalf of Melissa Jalen.
All right. Are you appearing on behalf of Hardman?
Those are children, Judge.
Those are children. Gotcha. All right. Where are we on this?
You already
No, go ahead.
Judge, there was a consent order that was issued a couple, maybe a month and a half ago. A client filed paperwork not through my office initially, indicating that she was having some medical issues. I appeared
Regarding the move out.
plaintiff's counsel understandably was not there because I don't think my client served them, so I'm not taking any issue with that at all. The subsequent to that, the plaintiff's counsel filed the actual writ to evict my client, and the court set it for hearing today. I can tell the court that I got notification from my client of today's hearing. It didn't come directly from the courthouse, which okay. But my client did inform me that she's having a heart procedure this morning that started at about, she had to be at the hospital at 7 a.m. And I did not, she basically had told me she had been waiting for the appointment and there was an appointment that opened. And I instructed my client that she needed to keep her appointment because with all due respect to this court, her health took precedence and I'll fill the gap in for but her procedure was today.
Okay.
Well, Your Honor, insofar as the appearance here, I certainly have no truck with that. But there was an order that said that the defendants were going to vacate by April 1st. They did not. That order was entered in February. They had a month and a half to effectuate what they were supposed to do, and they continue to occupy the property. My client understandably wants possession of the property, and that's why we're here today.
Do we have any verification that this procedure is taking place?
I have an email, Judge,
From her. But nothing.
I did not ask for any verification from the doctor's office, Judge.
No rent is being paid, right?
Correct. She was a Section 8.
Section 8 been terminated?
It has been terminated, Your Honor. I'm just told by my client that the debt is up to $50,000 at this point. Yes, Your Honor.
I mean, we're going to get into, maybe we need to get into the, but there's some question about whether it was terminated correctly. Who was necessarily caused it to basically be lapsed, which was the basis for the counter complaint that was filed in this case. Essentially, the reason why the parties agreed to dismiss it without prejudice.
So you're indicating you want to raise the initial issues that were subject to the dismissal.
If we could approach.
Yeah. All right, record in this case was conference case. This is regarding the issuance of the writ in this matter. Mr. Hamden was gracious enough to share with myself and counsel the email that was sent. The nature, I don't know the entire nature of the procedure that the defendant is undergoing. However, one thing that is stated in there that shed some light for the court is that she indicates to be available next week. I'm not going to adjourn it to next week because I don't know that there's really an issue ultimately that this court is going to come to. So I'm going to issue the writ, but delay its execution and indicate that it can be executed no earlier than the 29th. All right. So that way she's got to the end of the month and she's done. Council posed a good question that is to trying to make sure that it's final. I wish a lot of things in my life were final. If somebody comes in and says something, I think I'm obligated to listen, but the intent of the court in doing this is that this is it. It's done. We're one or two ways it's going to happen at the end of this month. Right.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. Thank you. When we locate it, I have to just put on there.
Not prior to the 20.
Yeah, not to be exit forever. Real Properties versus Matana Patrick. Real Properties versus Matana Patrick. Are these?
I'll get another Jimmy card on behalf of Beal Properties.
The first two are, got it. Your name? Simple. Your name, sir?
Matata Patrick.
All right. Well, where are we on this case?
Your Honor, the rent to retain is $2,980.32 with costs of $176.32 for a total of $3,162.64. We're asking for a writ date of May 18th.
All right. Anybody? Yes. Your position with this is you can restate it for the record. Your position with this case? Yes. Okay. So what were you going to tell me?
So there's correspondence with the actual homeowner that there's an agreement where we would continue to pay the rent that we've been paying. In addition to the utility bills that I do a utility allowance for, which were done on yesterday, as a matter of fact. And then we would continue to seek alternate funding for the back rent, as well as find Mr. Matata a new unit to go to. And then my agency could then, if we couldn't seek an alternate community resource to pay for his back rent or pay a portion of that, we could then pay that entire back rent at that point once he leaves the unit. And that's in correspondence. There's an entire email thread with that the previous attorney should have access to. The one that was here a week ago.
All right. So
That's all I believe the name was.
yeah. So what's really happening is the rent's going to be paid going forward.
It has been for the last 2 months. We've paid 2 payments already of $17.60, plus have done 2 utility allowances for Mr. Matata as well.
So what months would those be?
It was March and it was April, and then I just delivered one. Yes. Wednesday, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday. It was a little late because our printing machine was down. I delivered it to the new address on Michigan Avenue in the Dropbox.
So that payment must not have been taken off of this account. And the only reason, okay, the only reason I'm saying that is because the number claimed owed went up 1 month. But if what you're indicating happened, then it's going to go back to that one figure where I have a static amount of back rent. Okay.
Correct.
All right. No, that's okay. So what are we going to do then on the case? I get that rent's being paid going forward, but I don't know.
And then homeowner, I'm not sure. I assumed there was correspondence with them. He had agreed. He said put it in letterhead, which I attached to the email as he suggested with the terms. So I'm not exactly sure.
But go ahead. Yeah.
Your Honor, my client has indicated that what he is willing to accept as a conditional dismissal with the terms that have been laid out before the court.
Okay. I guess I don't have a problem with it, but I don't want to end up as the one thing that I didn't hear is there a date that he's going to move, or has that been resolved?
For alternate housing right now.
Okay, that's gonna be, right, no, I get it, I guess that's gonna be my problem with the conditional dismissal, because there isn't an end.
Well,
Oh, and
I would raise the question then, is there a reasonable expectation he'd be out by the end of June? Because we put at the end of June date in there. If not, then we're back to the question you posed, Your Honor.
yeah, but I don't know if that's realistic under. I mean, I can't force somebody to agree to that date. It sounds to me like the parties are working together so that everything stays static. The one thing that's missing is that end date. And how many people are in his family? Do you know? Is it just him?
So
Okay, that's gonna be, okay. Now I understand. That's gonna be the problem, because you gotta find a unit for 7.
and the family has no income, so that's been the issue, accumulating late fees, and there have been some fees that have been attached that our grant could not cover, so I've had to find, for the last several years, we've been working with him, community resources to cover these fees. And at this point, we've just ran out of funding for those resources. He's access to the ESG funding through SOS several weeks ago, which was the max at that point. And so we've met that for the year already.
So he's already gone through SOS, got the 3.
Correct. My agency, though, I was confirmed with my supervisor on Thursday. We're getting some additional funding for housing in June. What that looks like, I'm not entirely sure. We could put some of that funding towards that balance if that's.
It's coming from the county.
No, sir, I'm not sure what the funding is. If it's
Okay,
grant or.
gotcha. Okay, no, the other reason I'm asking is because everything is now messed up with funding
Yeah.
in a big way. So let me ask this. If the back balance got paid, are they going to be able to stay or no? Was that, I mean,
Our client indicates yes, Judge.
okay. So,
My grant, unfortunately, we can't pay that back rent until he's out of the unit.
because nobody wants to make my life easy. Okay.
And it's fine.
Client indicates, Judge, if the court is comfortable with putting either a July or an August date to give them more time, we could put that in the conditional dismissal if the court is comfortable with it.
I'd be comfortable with this because we could do that so that there's a conditional dismissal of August, but that there would be no writ without a hearing. I don't, and here's the reason I'm saying that. The issue with what's now happened with funding in this county is my head is still about to explode from a Wednesday morning meeting that I had regarding that. Because the amount of funding lessening as we go into the summer to save people's housing. So normally under the circumstance, we'd be able, quite frankly, if we were in the winter, which is another weird thing, we'd likely be able to find funding to pay this back balance and then move forward. I can tell you right now, it's not going to happen. In particular, if he's already tapped into the resources, it's not going to happen. So I don't have a problem, and I'd appreciate if there was an August date, but that there be a hearing prior to the issuance of that. But as a part of that conditional dismissal, his current monthly rent has to be paid forward so that this amount doesn't get higher.
So that's what we've agreed to.
Okay. Then I don't have a problem if we do an August date, but there'd have to be a hearing. And again, it's just because we're in so much flux. He's got to find a place for 7 people. But I'd be comfortable doing that. Would that work for you, sir? All right,
So we'd have an end date of end of August, and there would by necessity be a hearing prior to the issuance of the writ.
correct.
I'll get that drafted and filed.
All right, so I'll mark this conditionally dismissed and then submit the paperwork to me. Sir, I do have to advise you that you're appearing here, you're not represented by counsel. Once you sign on to the conditional order dismissal, and I think it's clear what has to happen. They're going to be paying your rent. Got that? Going forward, so there's no balance. And then they're going to be looking for housing for you, but nothing would happen until August. You understand that? All right. And then should you not have secured housing by August, there would be a hearing before this court before an issuance of the writ. You understand that? Those are the basic terms.
Okay.
All right. And so since you're unrepresented by counsel, once you sign off on that, you have 3 business days from the date of my signature to move this court to set that aside. Believe that there's some confusion on your part, some misrepresentation, something you didn't understand, or some right you didn't assert. Okay, that doesn't mean I would grant it, but you'd have that time frame. Got it? Okay. Thank you, folks. Is that it for you, counsel? Or?
No, Judge, I have one more. This is going to make my head explode.
Okay. Are his? Oh, they are.
They are.
Ram Partner versus Fry. Well, let me just call all 4 because I think we've got an issue. Mika Fry, Naja Brown, Going Robinson, and Maisha Sen. I'll just come up because I mean I'm going to have a similar one. They can just line up down that side. All right, who do I have here? Your name.
Morning.
Robinson.
So the one I'm missing is Fry.
Okay, SK, is that,
It's just not any.
this is okay, SK Properties. Yes. Good afternoon, Your Honor. Noel South appearing on behalf of the plaintiff NKSK Properties. And I
What? Who are? What counsel? What case do you have? Are you trying to? Is that an appearance you have?
yes, Your Honor.
Let me see the appearance. You're in the next block.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's all
I
right.
have,
You
I thought that
just had me confused.
I was confused. I thought that case had been called. So,
Okay. So
okay.
this is Ram Partners versus these individuals. And
I told you this is going to make my head explode, Judge.
all right. So the last time we were here, we had a problem with these properties because these were filed. These are really Arbor One cases, right? And the part that I'm a bit confused about is, so for filing in the name of Beal, then there was some indication sent out that Ram Partners is now the management company.
That is what I understand as well, Judge. So we're going to have to file amended complaints
Yes, but I don't know what I have amended complaint.
Oh, they've already filed them. Okay, I was told
Well,
filed.
they filed them. Gonna be here.
Yeah, I had a here for Ram Partners. No, because it was under
Who
renewal.
are you?
I'm the property manager for the property.
Okay,
I just found out
what's your name?
an hour ago, Jillian Bailey.
Okay. So here's gonna be the problem. In my mind, because I've got to sort this out. The last time we were here, the balances were of such a level, at least on 3 out of the 4, if I'm recalling, that they covered a significant time period. Typically, that might be okay, except that these are really Arbor One cases. Arbor One has, there's significant litigation in our circuit court as well as the federal court. And so I don't know, first of all, whether this management company or whether Arbor One can proceed on these. And that may be part of the problem. The other issue in that is that since some of the amounts were of the nature that they were, even if on X date they could proceed, I'm worried that the back balances were part of something else. And it worried me even more because a new management company came in, so they're going to be looking at the number that they would have. I get that. But they may or may not know that part of that number may have been dealt with or disposed of to the extent that they can proceed. May have been dealt with in the circuit court. I think it just went this Friday.
Misery loves company, Judge.
All right. So that's where we are. I don't know what go ahead.
Judge, I was brought into this late yesterday afternoon. As you know, Ms. Holm has been handling this. She's on trial today. What I have when I discussed this with her, she said that she's having difficulty accessing the circuit court ROA to get the actual documents that she needs to know whether or not this court has stayed. And I suggested, and I have not had the time because I was on trial yesterday, whether we should talk with the prosecutor and see whether or not they can tell us where their cases are. And so that's my hope, is to sometime next week sit down with Ms. Holm when we're both in the office together, get a strategy together, and maybe contact the prosecuting attorney to find out where their cases are, to tell you whether or not you can go forward on these. Because she has tried, and I know she's been working on this, trying to access the ROA for the circuit court unsuccessfully, to access whatever order there is that tells you essentially whether or not you have the right.
Right. Whether or not these cases can go forward. I will tell you, and just to back up, because I don't know that I told Ms. Holden. After the last hearing, or maybe the one before that, I can't remember. Because there was some confusion on my part, I contacted the other side of that litigation, that being legal services, to try and determine whether or not these folks were well, I was really more focused on the units, because there were some units that didn't have COC, some did, and I don't know when all of that transpired. You want to say something, because you always do. Go ahead, no.
Stating that it was a property management. That's been nice. I moved in. I was moved from the buildings that were not under compliance, and I was moved into a building that also was not under compliance when I moved in. And I have the email stating that when I withdrew my rent and everything. Also, I just want to mention.
Well, what time period are you talking about?
This was December 3rd of 2025, and I have the email from the property manager stating that they did not have even temporary certificates at that time. So
In December of 2025.
Yes, and then I continued to email from there. I continued
Go ahead.
to email from that point on, I kind of got ignored, and then, so reaching, kind of before came here to court, I made an agreement with Jessica Nice. She said I did not have to pay this balance to avoid the eviction process, and I do have emails and paperwork regarding that. So, when I was supposed to leave, I was summoned to court.
Jessica with who? Jeff.
Works with Bill Properties.
Okay. Anything you want to tell me?
It's got a eviction on my record, so I can't go anywhere. So when I do apply, so I'm
You're trying to figure out what you can do if you want. I got you.
stressed out.
And
You're stressed out?
I'm 50 years old. I want to be on.
You're not 50. Don't even try.
I'm
All right. All right. All right. So first of all, quit stressing. Because you stress, then I stress, then things get bad.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Robinson, anything you want to tell me, sir?
I was told the same thing you were.
And okay. And so counsel, just so that because you weren't part of those other cases, I had about before the case got filed against Harbor One et al. The federal part of that came in. I still had up until sometime last month, initially starting 50 Harbor One cases. Those cases were working themselves through in some way, but then got stopped because of the circuit court matter. At some point, and again, I'm sort of unclear, the circuit court was not preventing this court from going forward on those cases. I was just reluctant because there were global agreements going. What these two are telling me makes sense. Okay, because there were buildings where the certificate of compliance was not there. And I can't tell you off the top of my head which buildings those were at this point. I mean, I could look back at my records. But that rent, at some point, the circuit court ruled, because we had to get rid of escrow that was in our accounts. And at some point, that escrow was given back to the tenants, either in full or at a 50% rate, because they couldn't theoretically charge rent. But the money could have been used for the repairs. And I think Judge Kunke did something along those lines regarding that. We got rid of, ultimately, all cases where there was escrow and got those resolved. Additionally, with that, the cases that were here brought in the name of Harbor One were all dismissed. And so I was, when I found out, because they were filed in the name of Beal, and now they're filed in the name of Ram. Once I found out that it was Harbor One, I think it was Mr. Robinson that told me, he just blurted it out, and I stopped immediately because I didn't know that they could proceed. Okay. And also, counsel, I don't know what date, it was a Tuesday, I think, in April. Counsel, was it Bodman that was representing? They were representing Harbor One. And on the day that we got rid of the last of the cases that were before me, part of that large group, they made no mention, which I think they would have, that there were more Harbor One cases coming.
I could confirm that with Bodman's attorney.
Okay, because I think that may be, certainly you can go to the prosecutor about where things are, but you may want to also go to them as to whether or not, because it may be, and Ram may or may not know that, it may be that they can't at this point proceed on these cases. But if you can, I mean, I don't mind hearing them, but because I like banging my head against the wall. But I don't mind hearing them, but it's just, I just want to make sure everybody's operating in the right way. And and I just want to make this clear. I don't doubt what those two are saying. I think, unbeknownst to a lot of people, these balances on some of these things got wiped. And not everybody knows. Because that's what was happening on a number of different cases and units. All right, so what do you want me to do? Because I'm going to go back and rest for a minute.
Well, before you do that, Judge, perhaps we should adjourn.
Yes. And how much time?
I've got to coordinate with at least 2 other offices, Judge.
You guys are all still in your units, right? Okay. Why don't if you think if I kick them out to the 29th? Just do the last Friday in the month and then figure out where we are. Does that work?
That should work, Judge.
All right. Then I'll adjourn these to May 29th, 2026. Time 3 p.m. in person. Okay.
Thank you, Judge.
You young lady, you told me the last time you were on Zoom that you were all stressed out. You were giving me a bunch of stuff. All right. Now listen, just listen to me. All of this is confusing. I get it. It's confusing in some respects to me because there are all these moving pieces. Told me about some of the issues you had. Do not stress out about this. Okay. You're not going anywhere. Nothing is going to happen until I say it's going to happen, and I haven't said so. So I do not want you worrying about anything. You hear me? You promise me? I don't care if you worry.
What started as routine eviction hearings quickly turned into something far more complicated. Instead of rushing to judgment, the judge carefully examined every legal detail, from medical emergencies and housing assistance to questions about who even had the legal authority to file the eviction. In the end, the message was clear: courts aren't just about making decisions, they're about making the right decisions based on facts and due process. Sometimes justice takes patience, and today's courtroom proved exactly why. Now it's your turn. Do you think the judge made the right calls, or should these cases have been resolved much sooner? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe,